Okay guys, let's get cozy here. Scoot on in. I'm going to tell you all about how you can make these 3 secrets work for your characters. Today we're going to talk about how to adapt amazing, jaw-dropping character design into either a new character or your current character that's going to make your table worship you. And this is all going to come from an actual play that has over 10 years and 1,000 hours in the making. I'm going to distill all that information into just 3 secrets that you can action at your table. Hey there everybody, this is AJ and welcome to First Time DM. If you're starting to freak out just because you haven't created the character or you haven't watched a single 5 minutes of the over 1,000 hours of Critical Role, calm down. I'm saying it right now, this can work for anybody at any time. And I'm going to be covering 3 different secrets that the Critical Role actors, voice actors, players use for their characters that you can implement immediately. I'm telling you right now, this can work for anybody. It doesn't matter if you already have a character, if you've never watched the show, or if you have a character that you just want to add to and make it jaw-dropping. Going all the way back to 2015, Jon Snow just died in Game of Thrones, or something happened to him. 50 Shades of Grey just came out and put fear in the hearts of many librarians for years to come. Wink. We have our first glimpse at an absolute joke character, largest trope archetype in the world, the horny bard, Scanlan Shorthalt, played by Sam Riegel. We're going to use Sam Riegel's character to talk through archetypes and tropes and how you can actually use them at your table to make your characters better. The first thing you're going to have to do is figure out how you want to rebrand your current character or come up with a new one and what archetype you want to pick. If you start leaning into too many tropes, you'll get the bully, evil genius, jokester, just overwhelming main character syndrome character at the table. Archetypes are so great for the one reason that you can put your own spin on it. We saw this in campaign 1 with Scanlan, where he was slinging jokes left and right and talking about his romantic escapades, but in reality he wasn't going around trying to sleep with everybody that he ran into. And that cringy archetype for bards is so overdone. Sam Riegel's twist on the character was that it was an empathetic and trusting, caring character. And we really started to find out about that throughout the campaign. And you saw this when his daughter was introduced into the campaign. He didn't just outright ignore her and go on trying to seduce the tavern maid. He actually made a promise to her to be a better father, to come back for her. And you gotta watch campaign 1 if you want to learn what happened after that. Now, this was executed professionally because Sam Riegel is a professional voice actor. But in reality, you can put your own spin on archetypes. And to learn from this, to apply this to your current character or future characters, just think about the archetype that you have in mind and think about what twist you want to put on it. Think about how your character is going to break the mold. The second character that we're going to be talking about is Ford from campaign 2, and we're going to be talking about how your character should change over time and experience a character arc. So many pitfalls come from flat characters. I'm going to say it now, one more time, everybody in the back. Pitfalls, flat characters. Trust me, your character needs to develop over time. If there's a character that is a raging alcoholic, never leaves the tavern to go on adventures, never changes, well, you created a flat character. Take that character sheet, put it in the pocket of your favorite sweater, give that favorite sweater to your girlfriend, and never get it back. Yep. The true secret to each and every one of Critical Role's characters is that they develop over time. Ford, played by Travis Willingham, started out as a memory loss character who had a thing for big floating eyes and was a hungry boy. If you want to take this down to brass tacks, in reality, he was just a character who had a few levels of warlock who had a patron. But what he did from the start compared to the end was so much more than that. Warlock's Patron is a free RP button for any DM touching it, but your relationship with your patron has to change over time. When Travis's character Ford was developing, he started to realize how evil his patron was that he found on patrons only. Right near one of the climaxes of his arcs, Ford ended up breaking his codependence with his patron and severed that, learning how much strength he had separate from the patron, something that day one would have never happened, but his character developed over time. He even went as far as ignoring that portion of his character entirely and pledging himself to the Wild Mother, which is just huge for character development. Also, for you lovelies, I'm going to make a whole video all about patrons and how to make better patron relationships in the future, so just stick with me. If they started out as a young wizard, they shouldn't really know that much, and they should learn as they level up and get smarter and be able to cast better spells, but you have to RP that. If they were a loner in the woods, how are they acting now? They're traveling with a group. How is that changing them? Trust me, you can make this work with existing characters and new characters. If you've already been playing a campaign for a year and you want to inject this into your character's different dynamics and design, you can do this. Our third and last secret, the curveball, is being flawed. But AJ, I'm flawed in real life. I want to play D&D to be a hero. Well, in real life, you only listen to punk rock from the early 2000s, have overwhelming anxiety, are stressed out about not being able to buy a house. Well, those are things that stress me out. But regardless, Frodo had a huge thing for Beyonce. The Hulk had tons of anger issues. All of these heroes have flaws. Our critical role, chef's kiss of an example, is going to be Ashton Greymore, played by Tellison Jeffy. He is literally the definition of broken. He was given a one-way yeet out of a window, ended up hitting his head, where his friend came by, did the powder buff girl method, ended up mixing 3 special ingredients, being anarchy, punk rock, and a 4-letter word that starts with F that comes up a lot. And they poured that straight into his head. I will be real with you guys. He uses this every session. He will often try to talk people with his low charisma and end up swearing every 4 words. He even ended up stomping on what he thought to be magical artifact, breaking it in half. He was threatened or challenged by Rotanish and ended up getting absolutely conked, knocked unconscious, just because he couldn't back down from the fight. These are great flaws. You need to add flaws to make memorable characters. Perfect characters are boring. You don't want to have them at your table. Failing, having flaws, overcoming different obstacles makes your characters interesting. Having a character that can't help himself from getting into tavern brawls each time he has a couple drinks, that's interesting. And trust me, Ashton isn't going to have his head fixed yet or anytime soon. That is what makes his character so unique. So, those were some great stories, AJ. How do I actually use them? Well, I'm going to tell you. So, we're going to make a character together. This character is going to, 1, be an archetype, 2, is going to have flaws, and 3, is going to change over time. For this, we're going to make Thildir, the dragon-born detective. His job was to help the Hell Riders with small crimes. As he was younger, he had a beautiful sister who ended up being kidnapped and hasn't seen since. Ever since he was a child, he's been afraid of being alone. Just recently, a group of adventurers ended up stopping into town, asking Thildir for help finding a group of missing children with the same description as how his sister went missing all those years ago. And as he's starting to go on this adventure with his friends, with this new group, he's going to start changing. As he's traveling around with these adventurers, his fear of being alone is going to change over time. He might get over it, or he might be codependent. But that's the beauty. As long as he changes over time, his flaw is used, and his archetype is twisted or broken, he will be a memorable character. Now, these are 3 secrets that might be overlooked when you're thinking about how to make your character as good as the ones that are on Critical Role. But I went through thousands of hours to get these for you guys. Please use them. Put them into your characters. Talk about it with your DM. Or, if you're a DM, try to think about how your characters can incorporate this. Please trust me, it will help. I just want to say thank you so much for watching this video. I'm really wishing that your next session, everybody shows up on time, you make a ton of jokes, everybody laughs, and everybody's smiling by the end of it. This has been AJ with First Time DM. Cheers.